good, guys? Back again. Mount Vernon Kid back again. We are here, guys, because this is being delivered, and this was requested via my Patreon from Jimmy Gibson, and this is the final video of his first round of requests. Because he is a beta level member, that's one of my tiers, you should check it out. Now, this time around, we're dealing with something very, very interesting, and something I've been a fan of since I was a little boy, and I've been teased about it and things like that, even from family members. But the fact is, cryptic zoology. Cryptic zoology is something I really like, and I'm always fascinated about it. And anytime there are specials or TV shows about cryptic zoology, your boy is involved in it and going to be glued to it. Remember the series back in the day, back in, I believe, from 2019 or 2009, for an Animal Planet called Lost Tapes? If y'all remember that, I believe there's a YouTuber here on YouTube who has both seasons, all full seasons of it. It's one big video mashed up together, or two. But in there, they bring a lot of cryptic zoology to life, and it was good. I enjoyed it for what it was. But I love cryptics, and a lot of them are mystical creatures or supernatural creatures of folklore. There are a lot of them. Ones, you could think of like Chupacabra, somebody like that, or the Bigfoot, is cryptic. But there are so many, and a lot of people have said to have seen these things, and to a degree, am I skeptical? Some, because everybody wants their 15 minutes of fame, but then there are some that I believe, because why would you go on national TV to make up something like that? I'm just gonna, people think you're crazy. Just saying. But cryptozoology is something I'm a big fan of, and I really enjoy it. So let's get down to my top 10 cryptics. This is coming from you, Jimmy. This is for you. So sit back, relax, maybe get educated. Let's do it now. So number one on the list should be no surprise. It is probably the one cryptic on this list that I truly believe exists, and truly believe that someday we're going to get real concrete evidence that it exists. Someday. That's the Sasquatch and his Himalayan cousin, the Yeti. I am a big believer in the Sasquatch, and more importantly, I am a big believer in that it exists. This creature goes back as far as how many centuries? The Native Americans believe in it. They have different names for it, and there are different creatures that kind of resemble the grassman, skunk ape, you name it, all like that. But the Sasquatch, many people have said to have seen it. And of course, we cannot forget the famous 1950 footage of showcasing something walking, and it's walking and things like that. But more importantly, it is something that I truly believe. Now, yes, there are videos on YouTube you can find that some people say they've seen it and they filmed something in the woods. But some of them I don't believe, and then some of them I do believe, because it's just sometimes they're in the middle of nowhere, and I'm just like, okay, nobody's just going to be out there in the middle of nowhere just walking around in a suit playing. Nah, I don't believe that. I want it to be fully discovered. I want people to grit their teeth and maybe when they see it, run up on it with a camera and like, yo, this thing is real. It is real. In terms of its Himalayan cousin, is it believed that there could be something like a white or Gigantopithecus moving around those hills, I do believe too. You know, it's just a matter of belief, and the Sasquatch is probably the one that I believe the most. Number two on the list comes to somewhere that's somewhat closer to me. I'm from New York. I live in New York, and then one of the closest states to me is New Jersey. And the Garden State has its own myth and cryptic that runs around the Pine Barrens, which is a wooded area in Jersey that is nearly just as big as, I believe they said it's almost just as large as like Yellowstone in Jersey, the Pine Barrens. And in the Pine Barrens is a creature known as the Jersey Devil. And no, I'm not talking about the NHL hockey team. We think they got that from. We're talking about the Jersey Devil. Now, the story goes that in the Jersey Devil, there was a woman called Leeds, and she had many children of that time. And she gave birth to her 14th child, and she said, I hope this child is a devil. Unfortunately, the myth goes it happened. When the baby was born, the baby was not human looking. It looked like a devil. It had wings, it had hooves, and it flew out the chimney and into the Pine Barrens, where it's been there and has been around and has stalked and whatever. Now there are some people that say that believe in this, and there are a lot of people. There was one incident that a family said that they came in contact with this. They were in it. They did a whole story, I think it was on the History Channel, and they said they saw it. They did a lie detector test and everything, and they passed it. The story went that they were out in their yard, they looked up in the tree, they saw this creature up there with red eyes, it jumped down, it swooped down, they ran inside, it jumped on their roof, and as soon as they could hear it getting closer to the point where if it just looped over, they went inside. The next day, the next morning, they looked on the top of the roof where it had all this snow, they saw hoof prints on it. And they took pictures of it and everything. They did a lie detector test. Even a sculptor made a sculpture of the creature and brought it in. And the fear on their faces when they saw it, it just brought back memories. And I was just like, these guys either got to be good actors or they really saw something. The creature looked very demon-like, horse-like, whatever you want to call it, and it had red eyes. And it was scary. Of course, number three comes from the Mothman. The Mothman is something that I wouldn't say I don't believe it existed, but there are people who have said they have seen this giant, black, red-eyed, hybrid creature that some have said it flew right beside them while they're driving. Now this takes place in West Virginia, and it also, whenever people see it, it was a sign of bad things to come. That's what they say. One of the things was the Silver Bridge collapsed, and there were supposedly pictures of it before the bridge would collapse. I believe some people did die, but if you go to certain towns, one of the towns, and there's a statue of it, and these people do believe it exists. Now, it hasn't been seen since, I believe, the late 60s or 70s, but it's something that really caught my mind, the Mothman. There was a movie about it that starred Richard Gere and not Bonnie Hunt, Laura Linney, I think it was, yeah. I think it was, yeah. She's the actress that's in the Ozark. She was in the movie, and it was called the Mothman Prophecy, and it was interesting. They never really showed the Mothman, only by people drawing it, it was a suspense thriller, but I enjoyed it for what it was. But there are people that really believe they saw it, and if it is those who saw it, I'm not gonna dictate that you're wrong or false. If you saw it, hey, you saw it. I'm not gonna say, oh, these guys are fakes, because you never know. Never. I'm not judging them, but it is scary. Could you imagine that you're driving on the highway, next you know this thing is, you turn to your left, and this thing is flying right next to you and looking at you with, it's scary. Like that, you would shit your pants. Don't say you wouldn't, but you would. The Mothman. Number 4 on the list, we're dipping into Native American legends here. First Nation, Great Lakes, you name it. We're talking about the Wendigo. Now, I have Native American heritage in me through my mom, on my mom's side of my family. So, but I don't think the Wendigo is more of Cherokee. It's more of First Nation, more Canadian based, or Algonquin, up that area, I believe. But the Wendigo is a creature of myth that is an evil spirit, and it is based through cannibalism. If it's believed that if you partake in cannibalism, you will become one of these. The Wendigo has been getting a lot of praise over late, and there are people in the culture that truly believe this creature exists. So I'm not here to say it doesn't exist or you guys are full of it. No, I'm not going to dictate that with, even if they believe it exists. Then who am I to judge that they don't exist? But when they show renditions of what this creature could look like, it's always with a deer head and things like that, and it looks scary. Now, we have seen over time they have done film. The last film, Antlers, was basically about the Wendigo. The video game Until Dawn, which just looked like it was going to be a slasher, teen angst game, turned out to have the Wendigo, and they built it differently. Hell, I remember in the 4-season show Sleepy Hollow, they had the Wendigo in that. This creature has been in pop culture or culture for a long time, and it's scary to think that that thing could be out in the woods somewhere as an evil spirit or not. One thing I have truly respected and also take notice about Native American culture is their myths and legends, and some of them are downright scary, and I don't want to be screwing with them, just giving you knowledge on it. It is scary, and like I said, the Wendigo, and I ain't talking about Marvel's version of the Wendigo, I'm talking about the true nature of it, and it is scary. Next on the list, number 5, we go to is the Mongolian deathworm. Now, this cryptid is supposed to live in the Gobi Desert of Mongolia, and pretty much it is a fierce worm that is very dangerous to people of the Mongols of that time, and more importantly, it is pretty much big, dangerous. They also say it subdues a shock as well, and it was also showcased in that show, in the show Lost Tapes. Now, you guys have probably watched and loved the movie Tremors. That is basically the rendition of the Mongolian deathworm. Tremors took that idea and ran with it. Took the idea of the myth and ran with it, because that's exactly what it is. Now, it makes it funny that it wasn't introduced. They didn't do it in Mongolia or anything like that. But yeah, it's supposedly a true worm, and it's not as big as what they shown in the movie, but it's big enough that it could grab you and shock you, because they say there's images and knowledge that it can shock you and things like that. But the Mongolian deathworm. Number 6 on the list, we go to more Native American myth, legends, culture. And next one on the list is skinwalkers. Now, skinwalkers are Navajo based, I believe. Navajo. Shouts out to the Navajo Nation. You have some scary, scary folklore. Or now the skinwalker is supposed to be a spirit or a witch that is very harmful to people, and it also can turn into various animals, hence named skinwalkers. Now we have seen movies based on it, but the skinwalker is morally based werewolf instead of what it truly is. But I would hate to see something like that wherever you are, in mostly the southwest region of the United States, because that's mostly where I believe the Navajo Nation is, in that area of the United States. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. I know more about my tribe than others, and I should know more. Forgive me for that. But the Navajo, could you imagine you're driving in the desert, next you come across something or some woman or whatever crossing over, and you can't really see its face. It looks like it's wearing the skin of something, and it then starts looking at you. I'm out. I'm out. Nope, I'm gone. And once again, Lost Tapes did a episode on the skinwalker, and this family was being terrorized by one. At first, you see it on top of a hillside, and all of a sudden, they look away, and then all you see is a wolf coming down. And I'm just like, okay, that's fucking scary. And then to the point, it kept changing again. It was scary. And there were a couple of my buddies, we always talk about, how come we don't get more horror movies about Native American culture? And I kind of said, well, probably because they don't want it to be looked at like that. And that's my belief. I feel that they don't really want it to be looked at as being a part of horror culture, in that sign like, oh, it's coming to get you or something like that. That's just my belief. I feel like they don't. But we see sometimes they do it, and it's scary. And the skinwalker is another one that just creeps me out just as much as the Wendigo does. And I would hate to be out there in the desert or somewhere in some southwestern town, and that witch comes around. Just saying. Number 7 on the list, we're going to Filipino culture and Filipino myth and legend. And we are going with the Aswang. The Aswang is pretty much from the Philippines, and it is a Filipino legend, mythical creature that is based it's like a vampire. Comes out at night. It's mostly female. They will harm children and drink blood. True. There have been some films based off of it, low budget films. I think a lot of Filipino filmmakers have done movies on it as well, and they turn out scary. So I will say this straight up. Asian horror scares me. That scares me. And when they do horror, they know how to scare the shit out of you. And I've seen one movie based around the Aswang. They were speaking Filipino, so they had subtitles, and it scared the shit out of me. I forgot the name of the movie, but it scared the hell out of me. Just when they showed, I was like, okay, all right, that's it, I'm done. In terms of American culture, remember the hit show Grimm? I believe that was the first time they did it on American side. They did an episode where there was a creature that was similar to the Aswang, and I believe it focused on Reggie Lee's character. He played a big role in that episode, and also he played a big role in bringing this folklore to life, folklore legend, whatever you want. But most of the time, that's one has this tongue, and they use it to. They are shapeshifters. They look like a beautiful woman, and they can turn into. It's creepy and it's scary, and I don't know. It's creepy and scary, nonetheless. But the Aswang makes my list. When you're in the Philippines, be careful. And when I'm talking about the Philippines, they're talking more of the rural side of the Philippines. So that's what I. We are going to is another creature of legend or another cryptic that was supposed to have been seen once again not too far from me, another state that's not too far from me. I am in New York, so Jersey, Pennsylvania, Connecticut, and Massachusetts are probably the closest states to me. Maryland, all those. But this takes place in Massachusetts, and it was supposed to have been seen in the late 60s or 70s, I can remember. But what is it called? The Dover Demon. The Dover Demon is a creature of myth that was supposedly seen in the area of Dover, Massachusetts. Now, people have said what it looks like. It has bat-like wings, an elongated face, very blackish eyes. It looks very alien-based. And if I saw something like that, really, I'll probably piss my pants. But at the same time, it has never been seen any as of late. But once again, Lost Tapes did a big episode, and I really enjoyed that episode. You actually saw the creature. Usually, in those Lost Tapes they don't really show the creature, but here they actually did show it. The guy was filming, and he put on his night vision, and right above him in the tree was the creature. It was looking right at him, and I'm like, okay, now could you imagine that thing just jumping down on that? It was creepy as hell. But yeah, the Dover Demon is very interesting, and it's once again, it just shows that all over the United States and all over the world, we all have our own myths or cryptics and things like that. Like I said, there are different versions of Sasquatch all over. Here in New York, there's even one that is called the Grassman. Or yes, I think it's called the Grassman. Ohio has one. Down in the South, they have one. It's called the Skunk Ape. It's just not Sasquatch, so it's all over. Because the main thing they say is it stinks. That's why it's called the Skunk Ape. It stinks. But with the Dover Demon, it's just something that you just like, ugh. Who knows? On the list is kind of true, and somewhat this takes place across the pond in England, to be exact. It is called the Beast of Exmoor. I hope I'm saying that right. Now, this is supposed to be something real. Some people have been seeing big black cats in the area of Exmoor. Exmoor. If any of my British pack members are watching this, am I saying it right? But yeah, people are spotting some big black cat. They also call it the phantom cat. Now, there hasn't been predatory cats in England since the Ice Age. There are no big cats in England or in the rural areas of England, but people have claimed to see it. And it's big, it's black, and people are thinking it's a cougar or puma that has evolved to a point, because back in the 80s, there were a lot of people, especially in England, who had exotic cats as pets and just walking around with them. You name it, lions, all different kind of predatory cats. And when there was a law passed, they had to give them up. And some of these rich people just released them into the countryside of England. That's the rumor. And some people think that's what these are. Evolved predatory cats that were released, and now there's some of them running around. People claim it is a, like I said, a cougar or a puma, mountain lion. There are different names for it, but it's black. Last but not least, guys, I'm sorry, something went wrong with my camera right now, so you're only getting audio. Apologize for that. But with that being said, guys, the last one is the Popelic monster. Now, this is the creature, the goat man, the legendary part goat, part sheep, part man creature that lives beneath a railroad trestle bridge over the Popelic Creek in I think Fishkill, somewhere near I believe Louisville, Kentucky. And this always intrigued me as well, because I was always like, okay, this is interesting, goat man. And I used to think, okay, is this like, there is another creature called the goat man, and I'm just like, is this, what is he, a satyr? But the thing about it is, this has had numerous urban legends. This is a creature that existed, and it's had different origins, but some of the main origins of this creature is it always brings death to people who try to cross that trestle bridge, because it also has a train, that's a track above that bridge. And according to many legends and people accounts, they say the creature uses, I guess, some sort of hypnosis or voice manipulation to lure trespassers onto the trestle to meet their death by oncoming trains. It's like, what kind of shit is that? It's like, this shit is crazy. And then, of course, there are other stories that claim that the creature jumps down from the trestle onto the roofs of cars passing and attacks victims with a blood-stained axe. I'm like, what the hell? But it's so intriguing, and I'm just like, this is crazy. And I'm gonna be honest, I mean, let's keep it real, people. How you would be creeped out if you saw some half man, half goat creature coming at you with a blood-stained axe, or just in general that's luring you onto a track to meet your death. It enjoys death, and it's just really creepy to me, and I've never understood that. I'm just like, the freak is going on with this thing? But yeah, the Popelic monster. Now, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this little spooky or interesting trip down myth, folklore, urban legends, or cryptic zoology. I'm a big fan. I've always been a fan of cryptics. And I know there's probably a lot of people saying, hey, Chris, where's Nessie? How come you didn't put the El Chupacabra, or people like that, or Ogie Pogie, or, a lot of river monsters. The reason why I didn't put, let's start with Nessie. The reason why I didn't put Nessie or the Loch Ness Monster is because my man Jeremy Wade, the river monster expert who catches these actual river monsters, did a whole episode on the Loch Ness Monster and gave clear-cut evidence what people have probably been seeing on that lake in Scotland. And it's a species of shark that is jet black, very nocturnal looking, and it is probably the only shark species that can swim in sub-temperature cold waters. He caught one of those and showed people, okay, this is probably what people are seeing. And I'm like, okay, because I still don't, my belief in Nessie has dropped a lot. I never believed that it was some plesiosaurus in the lake. There's no way that's a freaking dinosaur, or from, I'm forgetting what period the plesiosaur is from. I didn't believe all that. El Chupacabra, I like, yes, it is up there, but it's not in my top 10. But I love urban legends, and I love, myth and mythological creatures, or in general, cryptic zoology. To this day, still, as you saw in the first guys, Sasquatch, Bigfoot, Yeti is always going to be number one, because that's the creature that I fully believe is real, and it's only a matter of time before it's shown. But with that being said, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Jimmy, thank you for giving me this. I apologize, guys, with the camera. My camera went out, and I was just like, oh, crap. So you just got audio here for the last one. I apologize. But I finished, Jimmy. I finished your first round. On to your second round. There's some good ones in there. And I had a lot of fun with this. So thank you to all my Patreons. Don't forget, guys, if you liked the video, thank you for like it. Give your comments in the section down below. Any true believer who believes in the cryptic zoology, please. But more importantly, if you like to become a Patreon, the Patreon link will be in the link down below. There are several tiers. The ones that if you want me to do things for, those are the later tiers. But if you just want to support the tier, support the Patreon, hey, go ahead. There are tiers that just are for that. But thank you for watching, guys. I love you guys. As always, your alpha loves you. Y'all take care. Deuces.